Hi, all you wonderful wizards out there. Tonight I'm going to be reading for you, tonight I mean as in tonight here, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which I have as a PDF on my computer. One of the things you may not know about me is that me, as in Rachel, Pigtail Girl. Let me introduce myself. My name is Rachel, aka Pigtail Girl. I used to actually live just near the Tibetan plateau for some years. I lived in a little, well not a little city, a huge city called Chengdu in Sichuan, China. And I lived there and I DJ'd and I sang. And I was quite well known throughout the whole of Asia doing those things. And so I have quite a connection to Tibet and their forms of spirituality. I'm never a fan of any sort of hierarchical system or feudal system like the Tibetan Buddhism was, but I believe at its core there were some very ancient, very worthwhile texts and practices that they have kept going over the years. So yeah, that's just a little bit of background information on me. I actually DJ'd and sang 3 times in Lhasa in Tibet, and it was amazing. I had some amazing spiritual experiences up there at that level, and the people were fantastic. I wasn't a big fan of the butter tea. I have to admit, the yak butter tea they were drinking, it was a bit bleh. But apart from that, it was some of the most amazing experiences of my life were in Tibet. So you might want to watch this video broken up into chunks. It's going to be quite long because it's 59 pages long, the book. So I've got myself a pot of coffee here, so you might see me pouring it and drinking it once it's brewed. But let's crack on, shall we? So the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or the After-Death Experiences on the Bardo Plain. English translation by Lama Kazi Dawa Samdap. The foreword. This book is the first English language translation of the famous Tibetan death text, The Great Liberation upon Hearing in the Intermediate State, also known as the Bardo Thodol, which means liberation by hearing on the after-death plane. Bardo is the after-death plane. The Thodol or Thotlol, liberation by hearing. It was originally written in the Tibetan language, which is a beautiful language actually, and is meant to be a guide for those who have died as they transition from their former life to a new destination. The work has been traditionally attributed to Padmasambhava, an Indian mystic who was said to have introduced Buddhism to Tibet in the 8th century. Legend has it that while visiting Tibet, Padmasambhava found it necessary to conceal Sanskrit works he had written. The Tibetans of that time were not ready for the spiritual teachings contained therein. So he hid his texts in strange and remote locations, leaving them to be discovered at a later time when their spiritual message could be received by those with an open mind. When I read those kind of things, thoughts of Indiana Jones and the Nazis spring to mind, like racing around the world looking for these hidden treasures, you know. They were very fascinated by Tibet, weren't they, the Nazis? The most famous of those that discovered and revealed Padmasambhava's writings was Karma Lingpa, who was born around 1350 CE. According to his biography, Karma Lingpa found several hidden texts on top of a mountain in Tibet, of which there are many, excuse me, when he was only 15 years old. Within those texts, he found a collection of teachings entitled The Self-Emergence of the Peaceful and Wrathful Deities from Enlightened Awareness. These teachings contain the text of the now famous Great Liberation upon hearing in the Bardo. Bridget Bardot. The Tibetan Book of the Dead was first published in 1927 by Oxford University Press, London. Go London! Dr. Walter E. Evans Wentz coined the title because of parallels he found with the writings of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The paperback and hardcover editions of the book contain extensive notes by Evan Wentz about the conclusions he drew from the translations, which some say were greatly influenced by his involvement with theosophy and Neo-Vedantic Hindu views. A later edition of the book includes commentary by the renowned psychoanalyst Dr. Carl Jung, whose insightful essays illustrates that this Tibetan text goes beyond a study of Tibetan culture and reaches into a psychology that has great relevance to the Western world. So, book 1. I think I'll just pour that coffee now. Smells good. I have a little coffee. I put a little wizard sprinkle of organic ginger in my coffee, and I mix with honey and soy milk. Just so you know, that's how I like it. Oh yeah. It is 59 pages long. Come on, guys. All right, should we crack on? Book 1. I hope I pronounce these words correctly as well. The Chikhai Bardo and the Chon Yid Bardo. Herein lieth the setting face to face to the reality in the intermediate state, the great deliverance by hearing while on the after-death plane, from the profound doctrine of the emancipating of the consciousness by meditation upon the peaceful and wrathful deities. That's quite a paragraph right there, isn't it? The obeisances. To the divine body of truth, the incomprehensible boundless light, to the divine body of perfect endowment, who are the lotus and the peaceful and the wrathful deities, to the lotus-born incarnation Padma Sambhava, who is the protector of all sentient beings, the gurus, the three bodies, obeisance. The introduction. This great doctrine of liberation by hearing, which covereth spiritual freedom on devotees of ordinary wit while in the intermediate state, hath 3 divisions: the preliminaries, the subject matter, and the conclusions. At first, the preliminaries, the guide series for emancipating beings, should be mastered by practice. The transference of the consciousness principle. By the guide, the highest intellects ought most certainly to be liberated. But should they not be liberated, then while in the intermediate state of the moments of death, they should practice the transference, which giveth automatic liberation by one's merely remembering it. Devotees of ordinary wit ought most certainly to be freed thereby, but should they not be freed then, while in the intermediate state, during the experiencing of reality, they should persevere in the listening to this great doctrine of liberation by hearing. Accordingly, the devotee should at first examine the symptoms of death as they gradually appear in his dying body, following self-liberation by observing the characteristics of the symptoms of death. Then, when all the symptoms of death are complete, he should apply the transference, which conferreth liberation by merely remembering the process. The reading of the Thodol. If the transference hath been effectually employed, there is no need to read this Thodol. But if the transference hath not been effectually employed, then this Thodol is to be read correctly and distinctly near the dead body. If there be no corpse, then the bed or the seat to which the deceased had been accustomed should be occupied by the reader of this Thodol text, who ought to expound the power of the truth. Then, summoning the spirit of the deceased, imagine it to be present there listening and read. During this time, no relative or fond mate should be allowed to weep or to wail, as such is not good for the deceased, so restrain them. Now that is quite interesting. It's actually not good for a deceased spirit to be surrounded by wailing and grieving family members and loved ones while they're trying to figure out which way they're going in the afterlife. I guess it's a bit of a distraction. That's such an interesting point. Okay. If the body be present just when the expiration had ceased, either a lama who had been as a guru to the deceased, or a brother in the faith whom the deceased trusted, or a friend for whom the deceased had great affection, putting the lips close to the ear of the body without actually touching it, should read this great Thodol. The practical application of this Thodol by the efficient. That's lovely. Now for the explaining of the Thodol itself. Yes, please. If thou canst gather together a grand offering, offer it in worship of the Trinity. If such cannot be done, then arrange whatever can be gathered together as objects, on which thou canst concentrate thy thoughts and mentally create as illimitable an offering as possible and worship. Then, the path of good wishes, invoking the aid of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, sorry, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, bit of a mouthful, should be recited 7 times or thrice. So, path of good wishes, invoking the aid of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, should be recited 3 times or thrice out loud. After that, you should say, path of good wishes, giving protection from fear in the bardo, and the path of good wishes for safe delivery from the dangerous pitfalls of the bardo. It, together with the root words of the bardo, are to be read distinctly and with the proper intonation. So I don't want anyone like talking like that in a London accent, you know, when you're dying. You've got to have the correct intonation. Then this great Thodol is to be read either 7 times or thrice, according to the occasion. First cometh the setting face to face to the symptoms of death, as they occur during the moments of death. Second, the application of the great vivid reminder, the setting face to face to reality while in the intermediate state. And third, the methods of closing the doors of the womb while in the intermediate state when seeking rebirth. The Chikai Bardo and the Chonyid Bardo. Right, let me scroll. We've got just like an index. Right, part 1. The Bardo of the moments of death. Instructions on the symptoms of death, or the first stage of the Chikai Bardo, the primary clear light seen at the moment of death. The first, the setting face to face with the clear light during the intermediate state of the moments of death is. Here some there may be who have listened much to religious instruction, yet not recognised, and some who, though recognising, are nevertheless weak in familiarity. But all classes of individuals who have received the practical teachings called guides will, if this be applied to them, be set face to face with the fundamental clear light, and without any intermediate state they will obtain the unborn Dharmakaya by the great perpendicular path. The manner of application is, it is best if the guru from whom the deceased received guiding instructions can be had, but if the guru cannot be obtained, then a brother of the faith, or if the latter is also unobtainable, then a learned man of the same faith, or should all these be unobtainable, then a person who can read correctly and distinctly ought to read this many times over. Thereby the deceased will be put in mind of what he had previously heard of the setting face to face, and will at once come to recognise that fundamental light and undoubtedly obtain liberation. So that's nice. Basically, you just got to have your good chum that you really trust, who knows how to read correctly, just talk to you while you're on the other side to give you a gentle reminder and to open up the pathway for you. If you haven't been able to remember it yourself, that is. As regards to the time for the application, when the expiration bath ceased, the vital force will have sunk into the nerve centre of wisdom, and the knower will be experiencing the clear light of the natural condition. Then the vital force being thrown backwards and flying downwards through the right and left nerves, the intermediate state momentarily dawns. The above direction should be applied before the vital force hath rushed into the left nerve, after first having traversed the navel nerve centre. The time ordinarily necessary for this motion of the vital force is as long as the inspiration is still present, or about the time required for eating a meal. Then the manner of the application of the instruction is, when the breathing is about to cease, it is best if the transference hath been applied efficiently. If the application hath been efficient, then address the deceased thus: O nobly born, so and so by name, the time hath now come for thee to seek the path in reality. Thy breathing is about to cease. Thy Guru hath set thee face to face before the clear light, and now thou art about to experience it in its reality in the Bardo state, wherein all things are like the void and cloudless sky, and the naked spotless intellect is like unto a transparent vacuum, without circumference or centre. At this moment know thou thyself and abide in that state. Know thou thyself. That's a bit of a strange sentence. And abide in that state. I too at this time am setting thee face to face. Having read this, repeat it many times in the ear of the person dying, even before the expiration has ceased, so as to impress on the mind of the dying one. If the expiration is about to cease, turn the dying one over on the right side, which posture is called the lying posture of a lion. The throbbing of the arteries on the right and left side of the throat is to be pressed. That's quite interesting. So it's kind of like death yoga. One more yoga stretch for you. I know you're dying, but come on, onto your right side. If the person dying be disposed to sleep, or if the sleeping state advances, that should be arrested and the arteries pressed gently but firmly. Thereby the vital force will not be able to return from the median nerve and will be sure to pass out through the Brahmanic aperture. Now the real setting face to face is to be applied. At this moment, the first glimpsing of the Bardo, of the clear light of reality, which is the infallible mind of the Dharmakaya, is experienced by all sentient beings. The interview between the cessation of the expiration and the cessation of the inspiration is the time during which the vital force remaineth in the median nerve. The common people call this the state wherein the consciousness principle hath fainted away. The duration of this state is uncertain. It dependeth upon the constitution, good or bad, and the state of the nerves and the vital force. In those who have had even a little practical experience of the firm tranquil state of dhyana, and in those who have sound nerves, this state continueth for a long time. So it's quite important to take good care of your body then and your nervous system. So even when you die, you want your body to be in good nick. In the setting face to face, the repetition of the above address to the deceased is to be persisted in until a yellowish liquid beginneth to appear from the various apertures of the bodily organs of the deceased. A yellowish liquid. Do they mean urine? Or is it something else? In those who have led an evil life, and in those of unsound nerves, the above state endureth only so long as would take to snap a finger. Again, in some it endureth as long as the time taken for the eating of a meal. In various tantras, it is said that the state of a swoon endureth for about 3½ days. Most other religious treatises say for 4 days, and that this setting face to face with the clear light ought to be preserved enduring the whole time. The manner of applying these directions is, if when dying one be by one's... So I think what they're saying there is that for 3½ days, your friends and buddies need to be kind of doing some sort of rituals for you to help you when you're passing over. It's like saying, in various tantras, it is state that this state of swoon, so the swoon, it makes me feel like they're talking about like the death phase of passing out of your body and into the next realms. I don't know, because swoon, it also means faint. It's not quite sure what's meant there. Maybe if you know, you can comment below. But I presume what they mean is like for 3½ days, you need good friends there, like sort of giving you the good juju and the good mojo on the death plane of the bardo to help you move where you need to go. They need to keep, like your cheerleading team needs to keep it going 3½, 4 days. And that's actually quite interesting, because in Thailand and places like that, when you go to Asia, they keep the funeral going a long time. I had some neighbours and one of their family members had died. This was when I lived in Thailand, which I lived there for a year. And the funeral celebrations went on for a week. And it was a celebration. It wasn't like, boo-hoo, really depressing. It was a party. There was loud music, there was alcohol. It was a proper rave. And it went on for a week. And I think they are Buddhists, so I'm sure they have monks there too, doing some kind of mantras and prayers. So, if when dying one be by one's own self capable of diagnosing the symptoms of death, use of the knowledge should have been made ere this. If the dying person be unable to do so, then either the guru or a shishya, or a brother in the faith with whom the one dying was very intimate, should be kept at hand, who will vividly impress upon the one dying the symptoms of death as they appear in due order, repeatedly saying at first thus: now the symptoms of earth sinking into water are come. When all the symptoms of death are about to be completed, then enjoin upon the one dying this resolution, speaking in a low tone of voice in the ear. O nobly born, or if it be a priest, O venerable sir. They're so polite. Let not thy mind be distracted. If it be a brother in the faith, or some other person, then call him by name and say thus: O nobly born, that which is called death being come to thee now, resolve it thus: oh, this now is the hour of death. By taking advantage of this death, I will so act for the good of all sentient beings, peopling the illimitable expanse of the heavens, as to obtain the perfect Buddhahood, by resolving on love and compassion towards them, and by directing my entire effort to the soul perfection. Shaping the thoughts thus, especially at this time when the Dharmakaya of clear light in the state after death can be realized for the benefit of all sentient beings, know that thou art in that state, and resolve that thou wilt obtain the best boon of the state of the great symbol in which thou art, as follows: even if I cannot realize it, yet will I know this bardo, and mastering the great body of union in bardo, will appear in whatever shape will benefit all beings whomsoever. I will serve all sentient beings, infinite in number as are the limits of the sky. Keeping thyself unseparated from this resolution, thou shouldst try to remember whatever devotional practices thou wert accustomed to performing during thy lifetime. In saying this, the reader shall put his lips close to the ear and shall repeat it distinctly, clearly impressing it upon the dying person, so as to prevent his mind from wandering, even for a moment. After the expiration hath completely ceased, press the nerve of sleep firmly, and a lama or a person higher or more learned than thyself, impress in these words thus: Reverend Sir, now that thou art experiencing the fundamental clear light, try to abide in that state which now thou art experiencing. And also in the case of any other person, the reader shall set him face to face thus: O nobly born so-and-so, listen. Now thou art experiencing the radiance of the clear light of pure reality. Recognize it, O nobly born, thy present intellect, in real nature void, not formed into anything as regards characteristics of colour, naturally void, is the very reality, the all-good. Thine own intellect, which is now voidness, yet not to be regarded as of the voidness of nothingness, but as being the intellect itself, unobstructed, shining, thrilling and blissful, is the very consciousness, the all-good Buddha. Thine own consciousness, not formed into anything, in reality void, and the intellect shining and blissful, these two are inseparable. The union of them is the Dharmakaya, state of perfect enlightenment. Thine own consciousness, shining, void and inseparable from the great body of radiance, hath no birth nor death, and is the immutable light, Buddha Amitabha. Knowing this is sufficient, recognizing the voidness of thine own intellect to be Buddhahood, and looking upon it as being thine own consciousness, is to keep thyself in the state of the divine mind of the Buddha. Repeat this distinctly and clearly 3 or even 7 times. That will recall to the mind of the dying one the former, i.e. when living, setting face to face with the Guru. Secondly, it will cause the naked consciousness to be recognized as the clear light. And thirdly, recognizing one's own self thus, one becometh permanently united with the Dharmakaya and liberation will be certain. Instructions concerning the second stage of the Chikai Bardo, the secondary clear light, seen immediately after death. Ooh. Thus, such good words, isn't it? Thus, the primary clear light is recognized and liberation attained. But if it be feared that the primary clear light hath not been recognized, then it can certainly be assumed there is dawning upon the deceased that called the secondary clear light, which dawneth in somewhat more than a mealtime period after that the expiration has ceased. According to one's good or bad karma, the vital force floweth down into either the right or left nerve, and goeth out through any of the apertures of the body. Then cometh a lucid condition of the mind, a bit like an out-of-body experience. To say that the state of the primary clear light endureth for a mealtime period would depend upon the good or bad condition of the nerves, and also whether there hath been previous practice or not in the setting of face-to-face. When the consciousness principle getteth outside the body, it saith to itself, Am I dead or am I not dead? It cannot determine. It seeth its relatives and connections, as it had been used to seeing them before. It even heareth the wailings. The terrifying karmic illusions have not yet dawned, nor have the frightful apparitions or experiences caused by the lords of death yet to come. During this interval, the directions are to be applied by the Lama or the reader. They are those devotees of the perfected stage and of the visualizing stage. If it be one who is in the perfected stage, then call him thrice by name and repeat over and over again the above instructions of setting face to face with the clear light. If it be one who was in the visualization stage, then read out to him the introductory descriptions and the text of the meditation on his tutelary deity, and then say, oh, it's a bit complicated all this, isn't it? It's like, gosh. O thou of noble birth, meditate upon thine own tutelary deity. Here the deity's name is to be mentioned by the reader. So I suppose it could be like Kuan Yin or something. Do not be distracted. Earnestly concentrate thy mind upon thy tutelary deity. Meditate upon him as if he were the reflection of the moon in water, apparently yet in existence in itself. Sorry, it's very hot where I am right now. I am sweating. Whew, we're having a heat wave. O thou of noble birth. Concentrate thy mind upon thy tutelary deity. Meditate upon him as if you were a reflection in the water, apparently yet in existence in itself. Meditate upon him as if he were a being with a physical body. So saying, the reader will impress it. If the deceased be of the common folk, say, meditate upon the great compassionate Lord. By thus being set face to face, even those who would not be expected to recognize the bardo unaided are undoubtedly certain to recognize it. Persons who are living had been set face to face with the reality by a guru, yet who have not made themselves familiar with it, will not be able to recognize the bardo clearly by themselves. Either a guru or a brother in the faith will have to impress vividly such persons. There may be even those who have made themselves familiar with the teachings, yet who, because of the violence of the disease causing death, may be mentally unable to withstand illusions. For such also this instruction is absolutely necessary. Again, there are those who, although previously familiar with the teachings, have become liable to pass into the miserable states of existence, owing to breach of vows or failure to perform essential obligations honestly. To them, this instruction is indispensable. At the first stage of the bardo path being taken by the forelock, that is best. But if not, by application of this distinct recalling to the deceased while in the second stage of the bardo, his intellect is awakened and attaineth liberation. While on the second stage of the bardo, one's body is of the nature of that called the shining illusory body. Not knowing whether he be dead or not, a state of lucidity cometh to the deceased. If the instructions be successfully applied to the deceased while he is in that state, then by the meeting of the mother reality and the offspring reality, karma controlleth not. Like the sun's rays, for example, dispelling the darkness, the clear light on the path dispelleth the power of karma. That which is called the second stage of the bardo dawneth upon the thought body. The knower hovereth within those places to which its activities had been limited. If at this time this special teaching be applied efficiently, then the purpose will not be fulfilled, for the karmic illusions will not have come yet, and therefore he, the deceased, cannot be turned hither and thither from his aim of achieving enlightenment. Fascinating. Part 3. The bardo of the experiencing of reality. But even though the primary clear light be not recognized, the clear light of the second bardo being recognized, liberation will be attained. If not liberated even by that, then that called the third bardo or the chonyid bardo dawneth. In this third stage of the bardo, the karmic illusions come to shine. It is very important that this great setting face to face of the chonyid bardo be read. It hath great power and can do much good. About this time, the deceased can see that the share of food is being set aside, that the body is being stripped of its garments, that the place of the sleeping rug is being swept, can hear all the weeping and wailing of his friends and relatives, and although he can see them and can hear them calling upon him, they cannot hear him calling upon them, so he goeth away displeased. At that time, sounds, lights and rays, all three are experienced. These all frighten and terrify and cause much fatigue. At this moment, this setting face to face with the bardo during the experiencing of reality is to be applied. Call the deceased by name and correctly and distinctly explain to him as follows. O nobly born, listen with full attention without being distracted. There are 6 states of bardo, namely the natural state of bardo while in the womb, the bardo of the dream state, the bardo of ecstatic equilibrium while in deep meditation, the bardo of the moment of death, the bardo during the experiencing of reality, the bardo of the inverse process of samsaric existence. These are the 6. O nobly born, thou wilt experience 3 bardos, the bardo of the moment of death, the bardo during the experiencing of reality, and the bardo while seeking rebirth. Of these 3, up to yesterday, thou hadst experienced the bardo of the moment of death. Although the clear light of reality dawned upon thee, thou wert unable to hold on, and so thou hast to wander here. Now henceforth thou art going to experience the other 2, the Chonyid bardo and the Sidpa bardo. Thou wilt pay undistracted attention to that with which I'm about to set thee face to face and hold on. O nobly born, that which is called death hath now come. Thou art departing from this world, but thou art not the only one. Death cometh to all. Do not cling in fondness and weakness to this life. Even though thou clingest out of weakness, thou hast not the power to remain here. Thou wilt gain nothing more than wandering in the samsara. Be not attached to this world, be not weak. Remember the precious Trinity. O nobly born, whatever fear and terror may come to thee in the Chonyid bardo, forget not these words, and bearing their meaning at heart, go forwards. In them lieth the vital secret of recognition. Alas, when the uncertain experiencing of reality is dawning upon me here, with every thought of fear or terror or awe for all apparitional appearances set aside, may I recognize whatever visions appear as the reflection of mine own consciousness. May I know them to be of the nature of apparitions in the bardo. When at this all-important moment of opportunity of achieving a great end, may I not fear the bands of peaceful and wrathful deities, mine own thought forms. Repeat thou these verses clearly, and remembering their significance as thou repeatest them, go forward, O nobly born. Thereby, whatever visions of awe or terror appear, recognition is certain, and forget not that this vital secret art lying therein. O nobly born, when thy body and mind were separating, thou must have experienced a glimpse of the pure truth, subtle, sparkling, bright, dazzling, glorious, and radiantly awesome, in appearance like a mirage moving across a landscape in springtime, in one continuous stream of vibrations. Be not daunted thereby, nor terrified, nor awed. That is the radiance of thine own true nature. Recognize it. I like that bit. From the midst of that radiance, the natural sound of reality, reverberating like 1,000 thunders, simultaneously sounding, will come. That is the natural sound of thine own real self. Be not daunted thereby, not terrified, nor awed. The body which thou hast now is called the thought body of propensities. Since thou hast not a material body of flesh and blood, whatever may come, sounds, lights, or rays, are all 3 unable to harm thee. Thou art incapable of dying. It is quite sufficient for thee to know that these apparitions are thine own thought forms. Recognize this to be the bardo. O nobly born, if thou dost not now recognize thine own thought forms, whatever of meditation or of devotions thou mayest have performed while in the human world, if thou hast not met with this present teaching, the lights will daunt thee, the sounds will awe thee, and the rays will terrify thee. Shouldst thou not know this all-important key to the teachings, not being able to recognize the sounds, lights and rays, thou wilt have to wander in the samsara. The dawning of the peaceful deities from the 1st to the 7th day. Oof. O nobly born, thou hast been in a swoon during the last 3½ days. This 3½ is a very significant number in spirituality. I hear it a lot. Like the Kundalini is supposed to be wound 3½ times. And even like Jesus, the number 33, and he died and resurrected after 3 days or 3½ days or something. There's always this, and the Holy Trinity. This is quite a sacred number for humans in this cycle where we live now, isn't it? That's better. So, O nobly born, thou hast been in a swoon during the last 3½ days. As soon as thou art recovered from this swoon, thou wilt have the thought, what hath happened? Like, what the fuck? Where the hell am I? So I guess the swoon is actually like when you die, you sort of go into a confused state. I guess that's what they mean by the swoon. Act so that thou wilt recognise the bardo. At that time all the samsara will be in a revolution, and the phenomenal appearances that thou wilt see them will be the radiances and deities. The whole heaves will appear deep blue. Then from the central realm, called the spreading forth of the seed, the Bhagavan Vairocana, white in colour and seated upon a lion throne, bearing an 8-spoked wheel in his hand and embraced by the mother of the space of heaven, will manifest himself to thee. It is the aggregate of matter resolved into its primordial state, which is the blue light. Interesting. The wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu, blue in colour, shining, transparent, glorious, dazzling from the heart of Vairocana as the mother-father, will shoot forth and strike against thee with a light so radiant that thou wilt scarcely be able to look at it. Avert your eyes. Along with it, there will also shine a dull white light from the devas, which will strike against thee in thy front. Thereupon, because of the power of bad karma, the glorious blue light of the wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu will produce in thee fear and terror, and thou wilt, with to flee from it. Thou wilt beget a fondness for the dull white light of the devas. At this stage thou must not be awed by the divine blue light, which will appear shining, dazzling and glorious, and be not startled by it. That is the light of the Tathagata, called the light of the wisdom of the Dhammadhatu. Put thy faith in it. Believe in it firmly and pray unto it, thinking in thy mind that it is the light proceeding from the heart of the Bhagavana Vairocana, coming to receive thee while in the dangerous ambuscade of the bardo. That light is the light of the grace of the Vairocana. Be not fond of the dull white light of the devas, be not attached to it, be not weak. If thou be attached to it, thou wilt wander into the abodes of the devas and be drawn into the whirl of the 6 lokas. That is an interruption to obstruct thee on the path of liberation. Look not at it. Look at the bright blue light in deep faith. Put thy whole thought earnestly upon Vairocana and repeat after me this prayer. Oh, so that's interesting. So what they're saying is like there's a white light and then there's a blue light. And the white light is the one that draws you back into this cycle of karma. But what you want to call is that dazzling blue light, and that's the blue light that leads you the hell out of there. Wow. So we're saying a little prayer. Alas, when wandering in the samsara because of intense stupidity on the radiant light path of the Dharma Dhatu wisdom, may I be led by the Bhagavana Vairocana, May the Divine Mother of infinite space by my rear guard. May I be led safely across the fearful ambush of the Bardo. May I be placed in the state of the all-perfect Buddhahood. Praying thus in intense humble faith, thou wilt merge in halo of rainbow light into the heart of Vairocana and obtain Buddhahood in the Sambhogakaya, in the central realm of the densely packed. So the Sambhogakaya is the central realm of the densely packed. Sounds a bit like a London tube train on a Friday. So the second day, that was day one. Now we're on to the second day. This is the second day of the 3.5 days, right? But if, notwithstanding the setting face to face through power of anger or obscuring karma, one should be startled at the glorious light and flee, or be overcome by illusions despite the prayer on the second day, Vajrasattva and his attendant deities, as well as one's evil deeds meriting, hell will come to receive one. Thereupon the setting face to face is calling the deceased by name thus: O nobly born, listen undistractedly. On the second day the pure form of water will shine as a white light. At that time, from the deep blue eastern realm of preeminent happiness, the Bhagavan Akshobhaya, is that? I don't know if that's correct. Please don't hate me if I've got it wrong. Vajrasattva, as the Vajrasattva. So let me just say that again. At that time, from the deep blue eastern realm of preeminent happiness, the Bhagavan Akshobhaya, as Vajrasattva, blue in colour, holding in his hand a 5-pronged dorje, seated upon an elephant throne and embraced by the mother Mamaki. Who are these characters? Right, Mama Mamaki will appear to thee, attended by the Bodhisattvas Kshitigarbha, I'm sorry, and Maitreya, with the female Bodhisattvas Lasima and Pushpema. Oh, well, I'm glad that there's finally some females in here somewhere. These 6 Bodic deities will appear to thee. The aggregate of thy principle of consciousness, being in its pure form, which is the mirror-like wisdom, will shine as a bright radiant white light from the heart of Vajrasattva, the father-mother, with such dazzling brilliancy and transparency that thou wilt scarcely be able to look at it, and will strike against thee. And a dull smoke-coloured light from hell will shine along the light of the mirror-like wisdom, and will also strike against thee. Thereupon, through the power of anger, thou wilt beget fear, and be startled at the dazzling white light, and wilt wish to flee from it. Thou wilt beget a feeling of fondness for the dull smoke-coloured light from hell. Act then, so that thou wilt not fear that bright, dazzling, transparent white light. Know it to be wisdom. Put thy humble and earnest faith in it. That is the light of the grace of the Bhagavana Vajrasattva. Think with faith. I will take refuge in it and pray. So basically they just call hell the cycle of karma. The light that takes you to hell is the light that brings you back here. That is the Bhagavana Vajrasattva coming to receive thee and to save thee from the fear and terror of the Bardo. Believe in it, for it is the hook of the rays of grace of Vajrasattva. Be not fond of the dull smoke-coloured light from hell. That is the path which openeth out to receive thee because of the power of accumulated evil karma from violent anger. If thou be attracted by it, thou wilt fall into the hell worlds, and falling therein, thou wilt have to endure unbearable misery. Well, thanks. Didn't think it was that bad here, was it? Whence there is not certain time of getting out, or whence there is not certain time of getting out. So yeah, you get sucked in, and when you're going to get out, who knows? That being an interruption to obstruct thee on the path of liberation, look not at it, and avoid anger. Be not attracted by it, be not weak. Believe in the dazzling bright light, and putting thy whole heart earnestly upon the Bhagavan Vajra Sattva, pray thus. Alas, when wandering in the samsara because of the power of violent anger, on the radiant light path of the mirror-like wisdom, may I be led by the Bhagavan Vajra Sattva. May the Divine Mother Mamaki be my rear guard. She's got your back. May I be led safely across the fearful ambush of the bardo, and may I be placed in the state of the all-perfect Buddhahood. Praying thus in intense humble faith, thou wilt merge in rainbow light into the heart of the Bhagavan Vajrasattva and obtain Buddhahood in the Sambhogakaya in the eastern realm called preeminently happy. The pursuit of happiness, la la la, in a rainbow bubble. I often like to picture myself inside a rainbow bubble. It's my happy place. We're only at page 15 here. I might actually have to do this in a few different sections. I thought I might get through it all in one night, but it's quite long. So I think I'll probably do up to page 20, and then I'll do the next 20 pages in part 2, and then the next 20 pages part 3, because I'm melting here. It's so hot. I just don't think I'm going to get through 60 pages. Man. So, the third day. Yet even when set face to face in this way, some persons, because of obscurations from bad karma and from pride, although the hook of the rays of grace striketh against them, flee from it. If one be one of them, then on the third day, the Bhagavan Ratna Sambhava and his accompanying deities, along with the light path from the human world, will come to receive one simultaneously. Again, calling the deceased by name, the setting face to face is thus. O nobly born, listen undistractedly. On the third day, the primal form of the element earth will shine forth as a yellow light. At this time, from the southern realm, endowed with glory, the Bhagavan Ratna Sambhava, yellow in colour, bearing a jewel in his hand, seated upon a horse throne and embraced by the Divine Mother, Sangye Chanma, will shine upon thee. The two bodhisattvas, Akashabhava and Samantabhadra, attended by the two female bodhisattvas, Malema and Dupema, excuse me, in all 6 Bodic forms, will come to shine from amidst a rainbow halo of light. The aggregate of touch in its primal form as the yellow light of the wisdom of equality, dazzling yellow, glorified with orbs having satellite orbs of radiance, so clear and bright that the eye can scarcely look upon it, will strike against thee. Side by side with it, the dull bluish light, the dull bluish yellow light from the human world will also strike against thy heart, along with the wisdom light. Thereupon, through the power of egotism, thou wilt beget a fear for the dazzling yellow light, and will want to flee from it. Thou wilt be fondly attracted towards the dull bluish yellow light from the human world. At that time, do not fear that bright dazzling yellow transparent light, but know it to be wisdom. In that state, keeping thy mind resigned, trust in it earnestly and humbly. If thou knowest it to be the radiance of thine own intellect, although thou exertest not thy humility and faith and prayer to it, the divine body and light will merge into thee inseparably, and thou wilt obtain Buddhahood. If thou dost not recognize the radiance of thine own intellect, think with faith. It is the radiance of the grace of the Bhagavan Ratna Sambhava. I will take refuge in it and pray. It is the hook of the grace rays of the Bhagavan Ratna Sambhava. Believe in it. Be not fond of that dull bluish yellow light from the human world. That is the path of thine accumulated propensities of violent egotism come to receive thee. If thou art attracted by it, thou wilt be born in the human world and have to suffer birth, age, sickness and death, and thou wilt have no chance of getting out of the quagmire of worldly existence. That is an interruption to obstruct thy path of liberation. Therefore, look not upon it and abandon egotism, abandon propensities. Be not attracted towards it. Be not weak. Act so as to trust in that bright, dazzling light. Put thine earnest thought one pointedly upon the Bhagavan Ratna Sambhava and pray thus. Alas, when wandering in the samsara, because of the power of violent egotism on the radiant light path of the wisdom of equality, may I be led by the Bhagavan Ratna Sambhava. May the Divine Mother, she of the Buddha eye, be my rear guard. May I be led safely across the fearful ambush of the Bardo. And may I be placed in the state of the all-perfect Buddhahood, if it's not too much to ask. By praying thus with deep humility and faith, thou wilt merge into the heart of the Bhagavan Ratna Sambhava, the Divine Mother Father, in a halo of rainbow light and attain Buddhahood in the Sambhoga Kaya, in the southern realm endowed with glory. All sounds so lovely when they put it like that. The fourth day. By thus being set face to face, however weak the mental faculties may be, there is no doubt of one's gaining liberation. Jolly good. Yet, though so often set face to face, there are classes of men or women who, having created much bad karma, or having failed in observances of vows, or their lot for higher development being altogether lacking, prove unable to recognise their obscurations and evil karma from covetousness and miserliness, produce awe of the sounds and radiances, and they flee. If one be of these classes, then on the fourth day, the Bhagavan Amitabha and his attended deities, together with the light path from the Pretaloka, live in the Pretaloka, proceeding from miserliness and attachment, will come to receive one simultaneously. So this is like basically every time you get this chance day by day to sort of turn away from your negative energies and accept this just beautiful light. If you fail, then it's like you go back and you get faced by another part of yourself. So in this one, last one, it was what? Violence and anger. And now it's like being miserly and mean. And this is the fourth day. It's a bit like a Christmas Carol, isn't it? With a Scrooge when he gets visited by the three ghosts. So again, the setting face to face, calling the deceased by name thus. O nobly born, listen undistractedly. On the fourth day, the red light, which is the primal form of the elemental fire, will shine. At that time, from the red western realm of happiness, the Bhagavan Buddha Amitabha, red in colour, bearing a lotus in his hand, seated upon a peacock throne and embraced by the Divine Mother Golkarmo, will shine upon thee, together with the Bodhisattvas Chenvazi and Jampal, attended by the female Bodhisattvas Gardima and Aloki. The 6 bodies of enlightenment will shine upon thee from amidst a halo of rainbow light. The primal form of the aggregate of feelings as the red light of the all-discriminating wisdom, glitteringly red, glorified with orbs and satellite orbs, bright, transparent, glorious and dazzling. Proceeding from the heart of the Divine Father Mother, Amitabha, will strike against thy heart so radiantly that thou wilt scarcely be able to look upon it. Fear it not. Along with it, a dull red light from the Pretaloka, coming side by side with the light of wisdom, will also shine upon thee. Act so that thou shalt not be fond of it. Abandon attachment and weakness for it. At that time, through the influence of intense attachment, thou wilt become terrified by the dazzling red light and wilt wish to flee from it. And thou wilt beget a fondness for that dull red light of the Pretaloka. At that time, be not afraid of the glorious, dazzling, transparent, radiant red light. I don't know about you, but that one sounds much better anyway. Recognizing it as wisdom, keeping thine intellect in a state of resignation, thou wilt merge into it inseparably and attain Buddhahood. If thou dost not recognize it, think, it is the rays of the grace of the Bhagavan Amitabha, and I will take refuge in it, and trusting humbly in it, pray unto it. That is the hook rays of the grace of the Bhagavan Amitabha. Trust in it humbly, flee not. Even if thou fleest, it will follow thee inseparably from thyself. Fear it not. Be not attracted towards the dull red light of the Pretaloka. That is the light path proceeding from the accumulations of thine intense attachments to samsaric existence, which hath come to receive thee. If thou be attached thereto, thou wilt fall into the world of unhappy spirits and suffer unbearable misery from hunger and thirst. Oh, thou wilt have no chance of gaining liberation therein. That dull red light is an interruption to obstruct thee on the path of liberation. Be not attached to it, and abandon habitual propensities. Be not weak. Trust in the bright, dazzling red light. In the Bhagavan Amitabha, the Father Mother, put thy trust one pointedly and pray thus. Alas, when wandering in the samsara because of the power of intense attachment on the radiant light path of the discriminating wisdom, may I be led to the Bhagavan Amitabha. May the Divine Mother, she of white raiment, be my rearguard. May I be safely led across the dangerous ambush of the Bardo. And may I be placed in the state of the all-perfect Buddhahood. By praying thus humbly and earnestly, thou wilt merge into the heart of the Divine Father Mother and Bhagavan Amitabha in halo of rainbow light and attain Buddhahood in the Sambhoga Kaya in the Western realm named Happy. Happy. The 5th day. Hey, I thought this was only 3.5 days. On to the 5th day. The 5th day. It is impossible that one should not be liberated thereby, yet though thus set face-to-face sentient beings, unable through long association with propensities to abandon propensities, and through bad karma and jealousy, awe and terror being produced by the sounds and radiances, the hook rays of grace failing to catch hold of them, wandered down also to the 5th day, if one be such a sentient being, thereupon the Bhagavan Amolga Siddhi, with his attendant deities and the light and rays of his grace will come to receive one. A light proceeding from the Asura Loka, produced by the evil passion of jealousy, will also come to receive one. Interesting. Very hot in here. Must have been like 34 degrees today here. The setting face to face at this time is calling the deceased by name thus. O nobly born, listen undistractedly. On the 5th day, the green light of the primal form of the elemental air will shine upon thee. At that time, from the green northern realm of successful performance of best actions, the Bhagavan Buddha, Amolga Siddhi, green in colour, bearing a crossed dorje in hand, seated upon a sky-traversing harpy throne, embraced by the Divine Mother and faithful Dolma, will shine upon thee, and with his attendants, the 2 Bodhisattvas Chagnadorji and Dibpanamsel, so Chagnadorji and Dibpanamsel, attended by 2 female Bodhisattvas, Gandema and Nidema. These 6 Buddhic forms from amidst a halo of rainbow light will come to shine. The primal form of the aggregate of volition, shining as the green light of the all-performing wisdom, dazzling green, transparent and radiant, glorious and terrifying, beautified with orbs, surrounded by satellite orbs of radiance issuing from the heart of the Divine Mother, Father, Amolga Siddhi. Green in colour will strike against thy heart, so wondrously bright that thou wilt scarcely be able to look at it. Fear it not. That is the natural power of the wisdom of thine own intellect. Abide in the state of great resignation, of impartiality. along with it a light of dull green colour from the Asura Loka produced from the cause of the feeling of jealousy, coming side by side with the wisdom rays, will shine upon thee. Meditate upon it with impartiality, with neither repulsion nor attraction. Be not fond of it. If thou art of low mental capacity, be not fond of it. Thereupon, through the influence of intense jealousy, thou wilt be terrified at the dazzling radiance of the green light, and will want to flee from it, and thou wilt beget a fondness for that dull green light of the Asura Loka. At that time fear not the glorious and transparent, radiant and dazzling green light, but know it to be wisdom, and in that state allow thine intellect to rest in resignation, or else think it is the hook rays of the light of the grace of the Bhagavan Amoga Siddhi, which is the all-performing wisdom. Believe thus on it, flee not from it. Even though thou shouldst flee from it, it will follow thee inseparably from thyself. Fear it not. Be not fond of that dull green light of the Asura Loka. That is the karmic path of acquired intense jealousy which hath come to receive thee. If thou art attracted by it, thou wilt fall into the Asura Loka and have to engage in unbearable miseries of quarrelling and warfare. That is an interpretation to obstruct thy path of liberation. Be not attracted by it, abandon thy propensities and be not weak. Trust in the dazzling green radiance, and putting thy whole thought one pointedly upon the Divine Father Mother, the Bhagavan Amoga Siddhi, pray thus. Alas, when wandering in the samsara, because of the power of intense jealousy, on the radiant light path of the all-performing wisdom, may I be led by the Bhagavan Amoga Siddhi. May the Divine Mother, the faithful Tara, be my rear guard. May I be led safely across the dangerous ambush of the Bardo, and may I be placed in the state of the all-perfect Buddhahood. By prayer, thus, with intense faith and humility, thou wilt merge into the heart of the Divine Father Mother, the Bhagavan Amoga Siddhi, in a halo of rainbow light, and attain Buddhahood. Bing! In the Sambhogakaya, in the northern realm of heaped up good deeds. That sounds like a place I want to go on holiday. Take me to the realm of heaped up good deeds, please, in a rainbow halo. Let's go. Do I need a bikini there? Probably naked, it's fine. The 6th day. Oh, it's going to be like 7 days then, isn't it? It's like the 7 chakras. Being thus set face to face at various stages, however weak one's karmic connections may be, one should have recognized in one or other of them, and where one is recognized in any of them, it is impossible not to be liberated. Yet, although set face to face, so very often in that manner, one long habituated, too strong propensities and lacking in familiarity with and pure affection for wisdom, may be led backwards by the power of one's own evil inclinations, despite these many introductions. The hook rays of the light of grace may not be able to catch hold of one. One may still wander downwards because of one's begetting the feeling of awe and terror of the lights and rays. Ooh. Thereupon all the Divine Fathers, Mothers of the 5 orders of Dhyani Buddhas, maybe, with their attendants will come to shine upon one simultaneously at the same time. The lights proceeding from the 6 lokas will likewise come to shine upon one simultaneously. The setting face to face for that is called the deceased. Setting face to face for that is calling the deceased by name thus. O nobly born, until yesterday each of the 5 orders of deities had shone upon thee one by one, and thou hadst been set face to face, but owing to the influence of thine evil propensities thou wert awed and terrified by them, and hast remained here till now. If thou hadst recognized the radiances of the 5 orders of wisdom to be the emanations from thine own thought forms, ere this thou wouldst have obtained Buddhahood in the Sambhogakaya through having been absorbed into the halo of rainbow light in one or another of the 5 orders of Buddhas. But now look on undistractedly. Wow, talk about kind of giving someone a good lecture in the afterlife. Look, if you'd just listened to me yesterday, none of this would have happened. Now the lights of all 5 orders, called the lights of the union of the 4 wisdoms, will come to receive thee. Act so as to know them. O nobly born, on this the 6th day, the 4 colours of the primal states of the 4 elements, water, earth, fire and air, will shine upon thee simultaneously. At that time, from the central realm of the spreading forth of sea, the Buddha Vairocana, the Divine Father Mother, with the attendant deities will come to shine upon thee. From the eastern realm of preeminent happiness, the Buddha Vajrasattva and Divine Father Mother with the attendant deities will come to shine upon thee. From the southern realm endowed with glory, the Buddha Ragnasambhava, the Divine Father Mother with the attendant deities will come to shine upon thee. From the happy western realm of heaped up lotuses, the Buddha Amitabha and Divine Father Mother, along with the attendant deities, will come to shine upon thee. From the northern realm of perfected good deeds, the Buddha Amoga Siddhi, the Divine Father Mother, along with the attendants, will come amidst a halo of rainbow light to shine upon thee at this very moment. It's a very big party going on. O nobly born on the outer circles of these 5 pair of dhyana Buddhas, the 4 doorkeepers, the wrathful ones, the victorious ones, the destroyer of the Lord of Death, the horse-necked king, the urn of nectar with the 4 female doorkeepers, the gold bearer, the noose bearer, the chain bearer and the bell bearer. I told you it was quite a party. Along with the Buddha of the Devas, named the One of Supreme Power, the Buddha of the Asuras, named He of Strong Texture, the Buddha of mankind, named the Lion of the Shakyas, the Buddha of the Brute Kingdom, named the Unshakable Lion, the Buddha of the Pretas, named the One of Flaming Mouth, and the Buddha of the lower world, named the King of Truth. These, the 8 Father Mother doorkeepers and the 6 teachers, the victorious ones, will come to shine too. The all-good Father and all-good Mother, the great ancestors of all the Buddhas, Samattabhadra and Samantabhadra, the Divine Father and the Divine Mother, these 2 also would come to shine. These 42 perfectly endowed deities, issuing from within thy heart, being the product of thine own pure love, will come to shine. Know them. O nobly born, these realms are not coming from somewhere outside thyself. They come from within the 4 divisions of thy heart. So it's very interesting. So what he's saying is all these deities and these beings are sort of being projected from in yourself holographically outwards. So all is one, all is connected. These beings are a part of you that you are seeing and communicating with. They issue from within there and whine upon thee. The deities too are not come from somewhere else. They exist from eternity within the faculties of thine own intellect. Know them to be of that nature. O nobly born, the size of all these deities is not large, not small, but proportionate. They have their ornaments, their colours, their sitting postures, their thrones, and the emblems that each holds. These deities are formed into groups of 5 pairs, each group of 5 being surrounded by a 5-fold circle of radiance. The male bodhisattvas partaking of the nature of the Divine Fathers, and the female bodhisattvas partaking of the nature of the Divine Mothers. All these divine conclaves will come to shine upon thee in one complete conclave. They are thine own tutelary deities. Know them to be such. O nobly born, from the hearts of the Divine Fathers and Mothers of the 5 orders, the rays of light of the 4 wisdoms united, extremely clear and fine like the rays of the sun spun into threads, will come and shine upon thee and strike against thy heart. On that path of radiance there will come to shine glorious orbs of light, blue in colour, emitting rays, and Dharmadhatu, wisdom itself, each appearing like an inverted turquoise cup, surrounded by similar orbs, smaller in size, some glorious with 5 yet smaller satellite orbs dotted around, about with 5 starry spots of light of the same nature, leaving neither the centre nor the borders of the blue light path unglorified by the orbs and the smaller satellite orbs. Sounds so pretty. From the heart of Vajrasattva, the white light path of the mirror-like wisdom, white and transparent, glorious and dazzling, glorious and terrifying, made more glorious with orbs surrounded by smaller orbs of transparent and radiant light upon it, each like an inverted mirror, will come to shine, your sacred disco ball. From the heart of Radna Sambhava, the yellow light path of the wisdom of equality, glorified with yellow orbs of radiance, each like an inverted golden cup, surrounded by smaller orbs, and these with yet smaller orbs will come to shine. From the heart of Amitabha, the transparent bright red light from the discriminating wisdom, upon which are oars like inverted coral cups, emitting rays of wisdom. And when it says are oars, I think it meant orbs. Bit of a spelling mistake. Emitting rays of wisdom, extremely bright and dazzling, each glorified with 5 satellite orbs of the same nature, leaving neither the centre nor the borders of the red light path unglorified with orbs, and smaller satellite orbs will come to shine. It's a very detailed description, isn't it? These will come to shine against thy heart simultaneously. O nobly born, all these are the radiances of thine own intellect, faculties come to shine. They have not come from any other place. Be not attracted towards them, be not weak, be not terrified, but abide in the mood of non-thought formation. In that state all the forms and radiances will merge into thyself, and Buddhahood will be obtained. The green light path of the wisdom of perfected actions will not shine upon thee, because the wisdom faculty of thine intellect hath not been perfectly developed. O nobly born, those are called the lights of the 4 wisdoms united, whence proceeds that which is called the inner path through Vajrasattva. At that time thou must remember the teachings of the setting face to face which thou hast had from thy guru. If thou hast remembered the purport of the settings face to face, thou wilt have recognized all these lights which have shone upon thee as being the reflections of thine own inner light, and having recognized them as intimate friends, thou wilt have believed in them and have understood them at the meeting as a son understandeth his mother. And believing in the unchanging nature of the pure and holy truth, thou wilt have had produced in thee the tranquil flower of samadhi, and having merged into the body of the perfectly evolved intellect, thou wilt have obtained Buddhahood in the Sambhoga Kaya, whence there is no return. O nobly born, along with the radiances of wisdom, the impure, illusory lights of the 6 locusts will also come to shine. Dang those pesky locusts. If it be asked, what are they? They are a dull white light from the Devas, a dull green light from the Asuras, a dull yellow light from human beings, a dull blue light from the brutes, a dull reddish light from the Pretas, and a dull smoke-coloured light from hell. These 6 thus will come to shine along with the 6 radiances of wisdom, whereupon be not afraid of, nor be attracted towards any, but allow thyself to rest in the non-thought condition. Well, that's page 20. I shall carry this on in part 2. I definitely am going to need a little bit of a break from that. It's very long and it's very hot here. Lots to think about, and I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, I'll see you in part 2. I'll see you in the dimension of heaped good deeds and rainbow sparkles and orbs. Be well, be happy, and one love.